I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
America was changed forever on January 20th, 2009, when Barack Obama was inaugurated as the 44th President of the United States. And so, in celebrating Black History Month this year, we celebrate what has happened. We rejoice in it, as now, more than ever, we understand that Black history is American history.
This is Nick News with Linda Ellerby. We shall not be moved.
The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that justice denied anywhere diminishes justice everywhere. And that is as true today as it was when he said it. Take school segregation, where black and white kids are taught separately. Once upon a time, this was the law in many states. Those days are gone. But that doesn't mean black and white kids today will get an equal education. For instance, in Chicago's wealthy North Shore suburb of Winnetka, where most kids are white, close to $17,000 is spent educating each student each year. But schools in Chicago's inner city, where most kids are black, are able to spend only about $11,000 a year on a kid's education. Not fair? Right you are. And when kids from both areas found out, they decided to do something about it, together.
We're Matt, Brandon, at Willis and David, and we're founding members of the Illinois Council of Students. Our overall mission is to advocate for student rights.
We feel like that students are underrepresented in these issues, and we want to give them a voice.
The problem really comes down to funding and money. There's a gap between the inner city schools and, the suburban schools.
Currently, schools are funded by property taxes. So it basically means that the zip code you live in dictates what kind of school you're going to have.
A child that is in a Chicago public school, when they go there, some of them they don't have hope in their eyes because they just look around and they just see, how am I supposed to grow out of something like this?
Swimming pools that exist but have no water in them, or the textbooks that are missing chapters 6 to 13 and things like that.
Because of the funding, that child, he doesn't grow.
Let's have a 1-hour discussion, Mr. Mayor.
On September 2nd, there was an education boycott led by Reverend Senator James Meeks.
Senator Reverend James Meeks brought Chicago Public School students to New Trier, which is a suburban school, in order to protest inequalities in school funding.
Matt's the student body president, and him along with a busload of kids, they came to the rally.
And we decided the best outcome for this would be to have students talk to students. I mean, most of us knew that there were inequalities, but hearing it from someone who's experienced them gives you a whole new sense of urgency and a whole new sense of actually the extent of the problems.
It was an eye-opener for both of us, and I think that kind of sparked us to work together.
We got each other's information. We found each other on Facebook, giving each other messages. And so we formed Illinois Council of Students.
The first act that we did as an organization was we attended a rally that was outside of a Cubs game, and Matt made a speech.
We've joined together to create a council of students called the Illinois Council of Students that's working to lobby Springfield, that's working to provide social service opportunities so we can address the immediate problems, and that's working to bring our communities together.
The whole idea behind it was that we knew that there were going to be politicians and the governor and a lot of high power people were going to be there, so we thought that would be a good chance to get their attention.
There were thousands of people there. It was very inspiring to see these thousands of people interested in the same issues we were all working on too.
It really felt like we were making a change, like we were making an impact. Today we kind of need to decide on our platform, getting it established with our administrators, our teachers, the early start programs, and the textbooks and basic supplies.
At the beginning of our meetings, we created what we're calling the Student Bill of Rights, which is just 10 things that really all students deserve to have a high quality education. So this is going to be a way for us to kind of move forward in determining our specific platforms so we can actually come up with specifics that are going to change the way education works in Illinois.
We're planning this coming spring to go to Springfield, which is the capital, and lobby in front of the state legislature for changes.
I'm gonna talk to the legislature and tell them our stories and tell them our experiences while in the Chicago public schools versus suburban schools.
We want to challenge them to tell us to our face that our schools don't deserve the same funding as suburban schools.
I think we'd openly admit that we want to shame the legislature into doing something. I don't think that's unreasonable. Knowing the situation almost forces you to do something about it because it's a serious issue and it's a serious civil rights issue.
The civil rights movement tried to get better rights for African Americans. Now we're trying to get better education. We're trying to improve ourselves.
Education is one of the biggest predictors of what's going to happen later in your life in terms of your economic success. And so just giving the people the education that they need is going to go a long way to start reforming the long history we have of segregation and inequality.
Now we're moving into the stages where we can start to make a difference, and that's where you really get excited, when you really start to think, I can change something, and I wouldn't trade this experience for any other I've had in high school.
It feels like we're just a part of history, like we're going to change the educational system.